Hello everyone, it's Red Hero here. You may know me as the guy who puts way too much time into making Lego builds of Loomians. And if you didn't know that, then hi, I make brick-built Lego figurines of this little game known as Loomian Legacy. And when making these builds, I really just get to appreciate the designs of some of these Loomians. But sometimes I do just wonder, how the heck do they come up with some of these? Like why does this evolve to that? Why is this thing that type? And why these two elements specifically? Is there a connection, or is it just because it makes for a cool design? And well, that's what this video series is aiming to do, to go over every single Loomian design and figure out their origins, inspirations, and reasonings on why they are the way that they are. And yes, video series, originally I wanted this to be just one big video, explaining every single Loomian in the game, but I don't have the capacity to do that, and neither does my laptop, I don't think. And judging from this video alone, that's gonna be like a 5-hour video if I were to go with it. So I'm splitting this into parts. Oh yeah, and if you didn't know already, this format is heavily inspired by Loxon and Noggin's analysis of Pokemon and design origins. Yeah, I love that these videos, they're really great. Oh yeah, and if you like this type of content and want to see me continue the series, as always, show your support, like the video, comment on it, subscribe or add it, all that jazz. I'm gonna try and make more content on this channel. Like, I have a few video ideas I want to do. Some of them are like this video, like explaining the type system and how they work and why they do that. And also, some of them are even gameplay, like Season 1 Frank PvP. Yeah, so if that sounds like a cup of tea, stay tuned to my channel. Alright, so before we start, there's a few things I do want to address. Number one, we're gonna go through this to the order of Mopedia for organization's sake. Number two, I'm gonna be skipping every single event exclusive Loomians like Icicle, as they will have their own video. And for the sake of transparency, most of the research for this video is done on my own. But some, especially the real-life animal inspirations, come from Loomian Legacy Wiki. So shout out to them for figuring out stuff that I was clueless on. And of course, keep in mind that I don't work for Llama Tree Studios, I don't know what their actual design inspiration and origins are. All of this is just me speculating on what they may be, so don't take my word on these, as I can be just severely wrong. Alright, so first up, Embed. The name comes from, of course, Ember and Rabbit, and that's that. Yeah, not all of them will have end-up explanations, because some of them are really just what they seem on the surface. Like it's a cartoony fire rabbit, I don't know what you want from me. Anyways, it evolves into Rapperin, which come from Rabbit and Burn. Shocking, I know. Well, it starts to get more humanoid, but I think we need to evolve it once more to see what's really going on. It then evolves the Seer Knight, a big hero that is a medieval knight that sears its opponents with searing hot steel. That's literally its extra move, searing steel. Well, its name also sounds like Sir Knight, which is how one would refer to someone with the title of knighthood. So if Seer Knight is a knight, that would mean that Ravern is a squire, which is basically a knight's apprentice that is also training to become one. That's why Ravern's Lumipedia entry talks about it training a lot and why it has those wristband things to build up its muscles. I guess that's why Seer Knight is so buffed compared to Ravern. Oh, and Seer Knight is also now fire metal because it has armor. Anyways, what's with this rabbits becoming knights motif? Well, maybe it's just because, they look cool. But it could also just come from the Killer Bunny from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, also known as the Rabbit of Serbanog. Now why? Well, because King Arthur and his knights and stuff, medieval things. Also, the way that they kill the Killer Bunny is with the Holy Hand Grenade. So an explosion. Fire type. Yeah, it's a dumb theory. But that's the closest thing that rabbits and medieval knights are correlated to. So, yeah. Anyways, next we have Dripple. Wait, actually, what is it? I guess it kind of looks like a tadpole or a newt. Maybe a mix of both. The name comes from drip and ripple, just for relating to the water type. Then evolves into Reptide. Okay, so the name now contains reptile as well as riptide. What the heck is going on? I thought this was an amphibian. Why does it have reptile in the name now? Well, from its design, Reptide doesn't really have any reptilian elements to it, so maybe it's just a naming thing to fit with Reptide. Is it because people often mix up newts and lizards? And I guess it still somewhat looks like a newt. So yeah, we'll go with that. Anywho, it evolves into Luminami, who has some anglerfish elements now. Its name comes from luminous and tsunami, referencing its water light typing. And because it's an anglerfish, with the thing I said. And it's by a luminous light type. Well, compared to Dripple, Reptile and Luminami do have this more kind of a monstrous amalgamation look to them. So they could just be based off lake cryptids / monsters, many of which are said to be amalgamations of amphibian and reptilian creatures. One big inspiration may be Gilman, or the creature from the Black Lagoon, hence why they are humanoid-ish. Also, the anglerfish are very much like deep-sea monsters, so there's that. So is that it? Is it just a lake monster that takes elements out of fictional and real-life wild creatures? Well, there is one more thing. I made a tweet back in like July of last year about making this video and figuring out Luminami's origin, and Shippool, Loomian Legacy's concept and model team manager, just replied to my tweet going, actually, it's based on the Andreas Lagoi. So yeah, it's based on the Andreas Lagoi, or the giant Chinese salamander. Cool. Thanks, Shippool. Alright, Feline is next, and well, it's a cat with plant elements. More specifically, a careful cat though. Feline and Vine, not really much more to say here. And then Velver is a bigger cat with plant elements. Feline plus Clover. Pretty simple. And then Tatab, oh, it's standing now and holding a big stick. Well, its name comes from Tabby, like tabby cats, and Tahtib, a traditional Egyptian stick-fighting martial art, hence why it's plant brawler now. Tahtib also has more of a jungle tribesman kind of look to it now, hence its signature move being Jungle Jitsu. And just so you know, caracal cats are native to some parts of Central Asia and Africa, including Egypt. There's also the fact that caracal cats are pretty significant in ancient Egyptian culture. Caracal cat sculptures are said to have guarded the tombs of pharaohs after all, so making the caracal cat beginner evolve into something that fights with an ancient Egyptian martial art is certainly fitting. Now we're going to go to more speculative areas. This is Mafdeb, an Egyptian goddess who is often depicted as a cheetah, but also sometimes as a caracal. Like most Egyptian deities, she is depicted holding a staff, but her symbol specifically is a feline on the side of a scepter. Ring any bells? Well, probably a coincidence. It is probably also noting that, she is also said to hunt at night, just like Devine's entry. That's probably because she's also a caracal, which are nocturnal. Hence they also hunt at night. Again, this correlation with Mafdeb is just a speculation that probably isn't true, but it's still worth noting out. Next in the Lumipedia is Eaglet. Oh, a griffin. How neat. Griffins are half lion and half eagle mythological creatures. In Christian beliefs, it is said that the eagle part of the griffin symbolizes Christ's divinity, hence why this lit eagle here is light type. Oh yeah, if you don't know, light types are not only for things that literally emit light, but they also encompass Loomians that seem to be divine and holy, like Namore or Celestine. I'll get into that later in the type video, fully explaining it deeper there. Tangent aside though, Eaglet then evolves into Swordprey, which now stands up for no reason, like it doesn't even walk bipedally. No, it walks on all fours. And its evolution is on all fours, and even walks on all fours. So what's even the point here? Well, the name comes from torch, because light, prey, because birds, and torpedo, because it's fast. Faster than its evolution Valkyrie actually. Now light metal type because it has metal claws, a metal helmet, and most importantly, a metal sword for a tail. Like the name suggests, they're based on Valkyries, handmaidens of Odin who guide souls of the deceased warriors into Valhalla. That's one of the reasons why they're light types. Now for the opposite of the light type, we have the dark type beginner Loomian, Vambat. And yeah, it's just a short way to say vampire bat. It's dark type because it's a bat, and bats live in the dark, but also because they're little thieves according to the Lumipedia, and like most Loomians that are said to be thieves have the dark type in this game. Vambat evolves in the Dimpire. A bat that lives in dim places is a vampire and maybe also an imp. Maybe. It's fully vampire now. Heck, even the move that gave Spawn Evolution is called Blood Drain. Suck your blood. But it doesn't hold a candle to the vampiric menace that is Vesperatu. The name comes from Vespertilio, which is Latin for bat, and Nosferatu, which is an archaic Romanian word synonymous with vampire. It's just straight up Dracula now with the cape and everything. It even has big sharp claws like Count Orlok, the vampire from Nosferatu. Now, why is it Dark Spirit? Well, vampires are said to be undead, and some tales of vampires also said they can be created by malevolent spirit possessing a corpse. Maybe the bones of Vesperatu are its actual skeleton seeping out its body. Another reason may be its real-life animal inspiration. While you could say that its pre-evos are based on vampire bats, Vesperatu itself shares a striking resemblance with spectral bats, or known by its scientific name, the Vampyrum spectrum, which in Latin quite literally means vampire spectre, and a spectre is just another name for a ghost. And another thing with the dark spirit typing is that it's 4 times weak to the light type, which is exactly like the trope of vampires turning into dust when exposing to sunlight. Holy heck, it's just all so perfect, isn't it? Vesperatu and its entire line was already my favorite at the beginning of Loomians, but now, after researching its origin and inspirations, it really gave me some newfound appreciation. And that's the entire reason I'm doing this video series. Just nerd out and appreciate the whole creative process these Loomians went through. So yeah, Vesperatu, just A+ on the design and origin. Anyways, let's move on to Snow Cub. It is a cub that lives in the snow. What animal is it? Well, it's clearer with the evolutions. It evolved from the Snowkey, a snow monkey. Now what's a monkey doing in the snow? Well, let's evolve it again first. After evolving into Himber, it is abundantly clear that they're abominable snowman or yetis. Big cryptids like the Yeti or Bigfoot are often depicted as primate-like creatures, so that's probably why Snowkey looks like a monkey. But is that it? Are they just abominable snowman? Well, not exactly. Now, notice the horned helmets on Snowkey, and the spiked wrist bracelets and pelt on Himber. They look an awful lot like attires of Viking warriors, don't they? But they're not just any regular Viking warriors. They're berserkers, fierce and violent warriors known for the range-induced trance, which explains why Snowkey and Himber's signature move are Winter's Fury and Yeti's Wrath, respectively. Berserkers are usually in a frenzied-like state when in battle, but when the frenzy ends, they are said to be very tame and calm, which may explain Himber's Loomipedia entry talking about being very kind. This frenzied state of berserkers is also described to begin with a shivering and a chill in their body, which connects to this line being ice types. Now, getting to more speculative areas again, while it is confirmed by Shippool that Snowcup isn't actually a bear cub. Okay, I know I just said that, but I can't find the source on where he said this, so you just have to trust me. I swear to God, like I wrote this out like Shippool said it was not a bear, but I can't find where the source is, so you're just gonna have to trust me on this, please. It is still interesting that they would put cub in the name. This may actually reference the fact that a lot of Yeti sightings were actually just bears. Some of the Himalayan people even use the terms that means man-bear to refer to the creature. In the meanwhile, it is also interesting that the berserkers also happen to have a big connection to bears. Some depictions depict them wearing bear fur and draw their powers from the bear. Even the word berserk, which came from Old Norse, literally means bear shirt. Again, I doubt that they intended for this bear connection thing, but it's still cool to point out. Oh yeah, and Himber is Ice Earth type because it lives in a mountain. An icy mountain. Yeah. Now, the final and probably most popular beginner Loomian, we have Weevil. It's a wee weasel that produces voltage, and then evolves into Stozap, a stoat that zaps with the storms that it summons. Alright, they're weasels with storm powers. Simple. Is what I would say if it didn't evolve into a freaking Chinese dragon. That's what Zulang is. A Chinese dragon, which is also known as a Long. Which is why it has Long in the name. The Zu part could come from Zu, which means ancestor in Chinese, has its own looking face and the electric ancient typing. But it could also pull from Zeus, the Greek god of lightning. Now going more towards its design origin, I could see it being inspired by Shenlong, the dragon god that governs storm, clouds, and rains, which aligns with its Loomipedia entry. Now why on earth did a weasel suddenly turn into an ancient Chinese dragon? Well, I don't really have any definitive answers, but I do have some theories. So one prominent yellow dragon in Chinese mythology is the yellow dragon of the center from the 4 auspicious feasts. Or I guess it's the 5 auspicious feasts, because this is the 5th one. Well, the yellow dragon of the center is said to represent the changing seasons, which could align with Zulang's Loomipedia entry, changing drought season terrain. The yellow dragon of the center is also said to be an incarnation of the yellow emperor, Huangdi, who in some stories was born when his mother was aroused by a lightning bolt. Yes, this is real. This still doesn't explain the weasel thing though. So is there like a weasel deity in Chinese mythology? Oh yeah, Huangshan, the weasel immortal from the Wu Ta Shen, or the 5 great immortals. The name Huangshan literally means yellow immortal. And whoa, we should look at that. Apparently, it is also believed that Huangshan is also an incarnation of the Yellow Emperor. Again, all of this is probably just one big coincidence, but I generally have no idea how a weasel would turn into a Chinese dragon of all things. So yeah, we're going with it. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention since I went through the whole weasels with dragons tirade, but the specific weasel species that Weevil and Stozap seems to be based on is probably the yellow-bellied weasel, hence their, yellow bellies. Oh, and where can this specific species of weasel be found, you may ask? East Asia. Most notably, China. Yeah. And well, if it turns out this wasn't the inspiration, then well, it's probably the inspiration for the Gamma Gleaming. Because I mean, come on. Just look at it. So that does it with all the beginner Loomians. Now let's just get on to the regular Loomians, which mostly should be way short to explain, because they're mostly just really simple. Speaking of simple, next up is Twilight. It's just a simple type rat, a kangaroo rat to be precise. The name comes from twilight and rat. Twilight is the light from the sky between full night and sunrise, or between sunset and full night. Fitting, because it evolves to Umbrat at nighttime and Luxor at daytime. Umbrat comes from Umbra, Latin for shadow, and rat, while Luxor comes from Lux, Latin for light, and roar. Yeah, they're just day and night rats. The reasoning here could be they're both nocturnal and diurnal rats. So, not strong, but it's something, I suppose. Oh yeah, and there's Ticlops, a sort of secret third evolution. Its name comes from Tikus, which is Indonesian for rat, and Eclipse. Yeah, it's based on total eclipses. which is when the moon passes between the Earth and the Sun. Moon, Sun, night, day, yeah. Then Catorn, Propay, and Cinnamoth are just the larva, pupa, and adult stages of Cinnamoths. Propay, though, also takes the free proboscis from the pupa stage of the Sphigidae family. Oh, and would you look at that? The larvae of the Sphigidae family are called hornworms. Neat. Oh yeah, and Sumobeetle, Propay's other evolution, is a beetle. Now why did a moth evolutionary line turn into a beetle, you may ask? Well, it's because they're all related by class. They're both insecta. Like so are cats and whales. They're both mammalias. So this doesn't really make sense. But I guess sense is a word that you could throw out once, the weasel turned into a Chinese dragon, so you know what, I can look over this one. Well, sumo beetle is a rhinoceros beetle, specifically the Japanese rhino beetle. It is also a sumo wrestler, another Japan thing. When Japanese beetle fighting is also a thing, they're very similar to sumo wrestling, as both sports try to get the other opponents out of the fighting area. Its name could also contain the word bito, which means people in Japanese, hence its more humanoid-like appearance now. Twiddle, Parrotweet, and Avatros are birds that are also pilots. Notice the feathers that resemble a jacket on Parrotweet, and Avatros has a scarf and a white around its eyes, something like goggles. They also have these patterns on their chest, which may reference airman insignias. What birds are they though? I don't know, I'm no birdologist, but I can say for sure that Avatros is probably a bird of prey, most likely a hawk or a falcon. Now why birds pilots? Well, I feel like that's simple. It's clear. Birds fly, and so do planes, and pilots pilot planes. So yeah, bird pilots. Now going back to the ground, we have Pyder and Swolder. Yeah, they're just venomous spiders. Swolder is so venomous in fact, that it swells up its entire body, hence the swollen its name. When the pattern on its body and its stance, I could see Swolder being based on the peacock spider, or the Maractus volans. Yeah, it's probably yep. Other than that though, they're venomous spiders. Again, these Loomians are simple, I told you. Another simple bug type is Antsy and Florant. They're ants with plant elements. Antsy has a seedling on its head, and Florant has a flower on its butt, specifically a peony. And that's important because there is a myth about peonies needing ants to bloom. Well, it's not really a myth. They do have a mutualistic symbiosis with each other. Peony flowers provide food for the ants, and in turn, the ants protect the blossom from other floral-feeding insects. So while technically true, peonies don't really need ants to bloom. They just help them. Anyways, after soul bursting, Florant turns into Flychomp Florant. Now, it has a Venus flytrap on its butt. Why? Well, because Venus flytrap eat ants. So, this is a role reversal of some sort. Yeah, cool. Now, for the last of the bugs in Gale Forest is Grubby, Cunacopia, Terrafly, and Terraclaw. Let's start with Grubby and Cunacopia. Both of them are the larva and pupa stages of hornets. Cunacopia specifically looks kinda if you flip a hornet's pupa stage on its back. Well, kinda. It's also based on cornucopias, animal horns usually filled with food/fruits. Why is that? Well, take a look at Grubby's name. It's based on grub, another word for larva. But also, grub has another word for food. This makes the evolution a cocoon shaped like an animal horn filled with a grub, a cornucopia. Yeah, pretty cool. Anyways, regularly it evolves in Terrafly, a terrifying Asian giant hornet that also flies. But wait, where did the food theme go? I mean, well, I guess Asian giant hornets are considered a delicacy in some places, like Japan. Oh, there's also Terraclaw. It's a Hercules beetle with a horn shaped like a pincer. Yeah, there's no correlation to the food theme whatsoever here. I guess that kind of makes sense. This is a fan design that they did into the game after all. So they probably just have no prior knowledge of the original intention of the line, other than, bug. Well, next is Kleptyke and Ragoon. They're raccoons who are also kleptomaniacs. Thieves. That's why Ragoon has this sort of criminal attire to it and why it's the archetype. The idea comes from Rio raccoons also being thieves and stealing garbage from bins. Also, a tyke is a small child, that's why it's Kleptyke and not, Klepman. Moving on to Babor and Borak. For Babor, babi, pig in Indonesia, and Bor because it's a pig that bores through rocks. And Borak is a boar that bores through rocks, but with armor now. So apparently boars do have an extra thick layer of protective skin known as shoulder plates, so that may explain the entire idea behind Borak having armor. But other than that, they are boars that bores through rocks. Next we have Geklo and Alaguana. They're lizards that look like they have minerals on their backs. They might be based on the luminous lizards, the Oriosaurus reveille, which are said to be bioluminescent, according to some sources. I can't fact check that, but we're believing it. Other than that though, honestly, there's not just much else to be said. They're just lizards that can glow and, has electric powers, so simple Loomians. Anyways, we're moving on to Slugling, Escargot, and Gastro. They're slugs with trees growing on their backs. What's the reasoning? Well, because slugs eat leaves. Usually dead leaves though, that's why Slugling and Gastro's Loomipedia entry talks about them eating decaying plant material. And why Gastro's tree has this more autumn look to it, dead leaves and stuff. But what's trees specifically? Well, it's probably a cherry blossom tree. This gets abundantly clear when Gastro soul bursts into terraform Gastro, now a bigger slug with some long-necked dinosaur elements. The tree on its back now carries chunks of land with its roots, hence the title Terraform, and the new Earth typing. Next up is Kabunga. It is a little tree spirit guy with a mask. And the name? Well, I think it's better if we take a look at WikiWiki first. It is now a bigger tree spirit and also a shaman. Shamans are quite known for their healing, and WikiWiki's Loomipedia entry is all about its healing capabilities. And it's basically the only thing they can do with those stats and move pool. Also, its mask now sort of resembles a tiki mask of sorts. Tikis are usually wooden humanoid figures from Polynesian culture that represents man's connection to nature and life itself. And nature, plants, life, healing, the connection. So, its name, WikiWiki, means fast or quick in Hawaiian, and, never mind, it has a base speed stat of 47. Well, I guess it could reference the fact that it can quickly heal with its branches. Yeah, that's something. Oh, and Tiki is probably in the name there too. Okay, so what is Kabunga's name supposed to be then? Well, it's kinda dumb. It's from Kawabunga, a phrase often used when surfing. Surfing. Hawaii. Yeah, that's stupid. It's really dumb. So before we go into Kabunga's other evolution, I think we should skip ahead in the Loomipedia to Cradle. Like Kabunga, Cradle is also a spirit/elemental, but a volcano one instead of a tree one. It evolves in the Krakaloa, now just a full-on volcano with a face on it. Its name comes from Mauna Loa, a volcano in Hawaii, and Krakatoa, a now caldera in Indonesia, and what's also described to be the volcano with the most violent volcanic eruptions ever recorded. Wow, that's like what, the third Indonesia mentioned in this video? Way to represent. I live there, by the way, if you didn't already know. Anyways, yeah, big eruptions. I guess that's why when it soul bursts, it becomes lava-free in Krakaloa, with what seems to be the original lava spirit now erupting out of the volcano. Now fire spirit because it's no longer bound by its earthly husk. So if it isn't abundantly clear already, these two lines are very much linked with one another, with both being elemental spirits evolving by a trait and having some Hawaiian elements to them. Oh, and of course, when you cross-trade them together, Kabunga and Cradle evolve into Tartiki and Volcaloa respectively. Well, let's start with Tartiki. It's a bird tree. It's just a big chunk of charcoal. Most probably because it came into contact with Cradle when trading. Lava burnt, Tartiki also seems to have lost its mask upon evolution. What's up with that? Well, it's because Cradle stole it, making it evolve into Volcaloa. Something, I guess. So Volcaloa is actually just a taller and more slender version of Cradle that has also grown vegetation on its back, making it look like an island. Also, it's now on all fours. But, what's with this heck of a drastic change? Well, it's Kabunga's mask. When Cradle stole it and wore it, it seems to have become a lot more wilder and more primal due to it. Like the trope of the thief getting their grubby hands on an ancient artifact but ended up getting cursed due to it. And that's probably why it's fire ancient now, because of the primal curse the mask imbues on its body. Oh yeah, and the ancient type is not only for ancient beings, it is also the curse/enchantment/arcane magic type. That's why, moves like Bane of Haste, Far Enchantment, Near Enchantment exist. Anyways, the mask also seems to have made it grow in some vegetation on its back. This ties back to WikiWiki having crazy healing powers. It sort of heals the earth on Volcaloa's back per se, just like what real volcanoes do on their own. That's why, volcanic islands exist. Oh yeah, and that's like main basis. By the way, it's a volcanic island. Now, if you haven't noticed, there seems to be a certain theme with these two lines, that being nature and destruction. The regular evolutions sell this pretty well, I feel like. WikiWiki's entire thing is that its natural herbs can heal like crazy, and Volcaloa is a volcano, and volcano destroys things. But when you consider the cross-trade evolutions, their themes suddenly became intertwined/crossed, I guess. Tartiki symbolizes, the damage and destruction that fires and volcanoes can do to nature. That's why, Tartiki is a burning tree. While Volcaloa symbolizes the ever-growing life and nature that volcanoes can actually create. Hence why Volcaloa is a volcanic island. Honestly, it's a pretty cool connection. Makes me appreciate these two somewhat boring lines altogether. Alright now, going back to the Loomian order, we have Shachi next. Now we're going back to simple origins. It's a squirrel wizard. Or is it a witch, because they're all female. But its design just kinda scream wizard though, so why are they all female then? Well, it's probably because females tend to be more associated with magic and supernatural stuff, like astrology. I don't know, is that sexist? Let me know. If it is, then I'm sorry. But its name, the end is very simple. It's she, another sort of term for life force, and they're wizards, so they must have some control over it. And then a Sha is a strip of woodland, referencing the location when it's found. Alright, next we have... it's Rokrala and City Mars. Okay. Well, they're rock koalas. That's it. They're just koalas that have rock bodies. I'm not joking when I say this. They're quite literally just rock koalas. There's no other origin, there's no real life animal inspiration that I found other than koalas, of course. But nothing. There's just nothing in here. They're just rock koalas. We're moving on. Alright then, Gumpod and Limitation are next. Gumpod is an isopod, and that covers the pod in its name. What's the gum part? Well, I guess it could refer to the fact that made of ice pods is chewier than most crustaceans, therefore making them gummy. It's stupid, but genuinely, it's the best thing that I could come up with because there's nothing that relates to gum in isopods. So say this with me, we're going with it. And Adventation is a crustacean with a hydrothermal vent on its back. It's probably based on the crabs in the Bitograeidae family, also known as the blind vent crabs, and their entire thing is living near hydrothermal vents. Yeah! Oh, and trust me, this won't be the last time you hear about hydrothermal vents in this video. Now going into more spookier territory, it's Fan Cub, a phantom cub who happens to look like a teddy bear. Its design may be inspired with the possessed killer dolls in popular media, like Chucky from Child's Play. And maybe that's why it evolves to Ursul, a now bigger bear who has even more of a serial killer in the woods vibes. Hence it looking a bit like Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, with the flown face looking like a mask and the fur color distribution kind of looking like a jacket and pants. If you squint hard enough. Now the name Ursul. It comes from Ursa, Latin for bear, and soul. But together, it sounds like your soul. Like it's gonna take your soul, killing you. Oh yeah, and that's another reason for the spirit type. It kills people. But it doesn't just take your soul through draining your life force like most spirit types. No, it kills you violently. Hence why it's brawler type as well. Now why bears exactly? Well, mostly because deaths by bear attacks and how common they are in media, despite not being common at all in real life. There's only, what, 180 recorded bear attacks in North America, and the resultant fatality. And that's just like, what, 1974? Homicide in the US is 100 times that number, yearly. But anyways, they're also black bears, which do have a subspecies called the Kermode bear, also known as the spirit bears. Okay? Bee Swarm Simulator taught that to me. Well, I mean, they have white fur, but still, it is an interesting fact to point out. Anyways, moving on from ghost bears, we go to ghost dogs. Wispup and Revenine. So, let's start with Wispup. It's a little will-o'-the-wisp with a cute puppy head, and that's where its name comes from. It's fire spirit type because the will-o'-the-wisps are usually depicted as a glowing ball of fire. They're also known to guide people along their way, but Wispup doesn't really guide people. It's quite the opposite actually. According to the Lumopedia, it follows travelers that are passing through the woods. And then Revenine, well, its Lumopedia entry doesn't have anything relating to following people, but it does talk about its connection to Heiwa Village, a settlement that is very heavily Japanese inspired. So it's probably no coincidence that this line shares traits to a certain creature in Japanese folklore. The Yokuri Inu is a yokai with the appearance of a dog or wolf that stalks and follows travelers at night from a distance, just like Wispup. They are said to sort of help you traverse the mountains, keeping the other yokai and animals away, but if you trip and fall, they won't hesitate to just straight up kill you. Yeah, spirit type stuff. And hey, Heiwa Cemetery just so happens to be in Route 5, which is a mountain. Yeah, and it just so happens to be that that mountain has a volcanic cave filled with lizards, one of them being ski lava, who then evolves into Gex Float. They're lava lizards. Like, yes, lizards that have lava on their bodies, but also lava lizards, as in the real-life lizards in the Microlophus genus. The reason they're called lava lizards is because they sunbathe on lava rocks. Skilava's Lumopedia entry talks about them bathing as well, though they are said to bathe on actual magma. Alright, so well, Gex Float can actually evolve one more time into Arachnodon. now bigger and even gaining some monitor lizard elements. Its Lumopedia entry even talks about how they wrestle for territory, just like real monster lizards. So the name comes from eruption and the suffix don, which means teeth. But the don suffix is also used in a lot of dinosaur names, like the iguanodon, for example. And dinosaurs, are just big lizards. Well, Eruptodon can also soul burst into Magma Dire Eruptodon. Now Fire Earth because... Wait, actually... Why is it Fire Earth type? There's like no Earth elements in its design like at all? Hell, it's called like Magma Dire? Dire means like danger, disaster, urgent. Speaking of hell, its soul move is quite literally called Hellstorm. Why is it not Fire Dark type? Yes, it does also have magma in the name, but like Krakaloa has magma, and it's not Earth type. I mean, I guess it could be for balancing purposes, but like, come on. And I guess it's still better than turning Fire Ancient because it's a dragon now. Oh yeah, it's based on European dragons now, with growing wings and everything. But most stories about dragons already treat them as this malicious creature. So, Fire Dark would have been perfect as well. Whatever, who cares? Anyways, moving on from the other lizard found in Igneous Hollows, Ichneol also seems to be another kind of monitor lizard. The Komodo dragon, maybe? They do have tough bony plates as a sort of armor for the body, just like Ichneol is said to have. They're also considered endangered animals, making them pretty rare, and Ichneol is like the rarest thing you can find in Igneous Hollows. Other than that, well, I guess it does have dragon in the name, which correlates with its final evolution. Oh yeah, its name. It comes from igneous, which means having solidified from magma or lava, referencing where it is found, on the volcanic cave and everything. And Neolithic, as in the Neolithic Age, as in the Late Stone Age. It is ancient type after all, also Stone Age as in rocks, and well, you'll see its evolutions. First of which being Chrysite, which is a rock. Well, its name comes from chrysalis, which is just a fancier way of saying cocoon, and the ite suffix, which is mostly used in the names of minerals. Yeah, to be completely honest, I have no idea what Chrysite is actually meant to be, or what it is inspired from. So if anyone, or hell, even if the concept artist for this entire line, want to explain what exactly Chrysite is, you are more than welcome to do so, of course. Alright then, to the big hulking beast that is Obsidragon. The name is pretty simple, and as the name suggests, it is an obsidian dragon. So, obsidian is formed when lava or magma gets rapidly cooled, making a glass-like structure, and that's what the crystal spikes on Chrysite and Obsidragon are. They're obsidian. And it's a dragon because it's a lizard that lives deep underground. Bam! Dragon. Now, what's with the mention of steam and vent in the Lumopedia? Well, it's speculation time now. So, Chrysite and Obsidragon could very much also be based on the hydrothermal vents. See, I told you what they were about them again. Except this time, I'm not quite so sure of it. I mean, releasing steam from vents, having upright jagged dark-colored bodies, having really high internal heat, that sounds like a hydrothermal vent. Also, crystallized minerals can also be found around these vents, just like the crystals around Chrysite and Obsidragon. But these vents are also usually found underwater on the seabed, and well, Ichneol are found inside volcanic caves. Adding on though, hydrothermal vents were also theorized to be the starting point of life on Earth, giving more reason for the signs to be ancient type. But again, I'm mostly grasping at straws here. The most likely inspiration behind this line is that they're just Komodo dragons that are covered in obsidian and have lived for a long time. And whatever Chrysite is supposed to be. Oh yeah, Igneous Hollows also used to have an ancient civilization within it. Therefore, the ruins you can find there. So there, Ichneol may have actually existed back at that time. Therefore, it is ancient. Now finally moving on from the volcano lizards, because that was an entire page of the script, we have Calfnote, Trumbull, and Mutoon. Oh, and look at that, they have gender dimorphism. So yeah, they're musical cattle, both calfnotes have percussion instruments on them. A bell referencing cowbell for the males, and a tambourine on the head of the female looking like a hairband. Male calfnotes evolve with the Trumbull. I mean, bulls are just adult male cattle after all, and it's one of the wind instruments as horns. Presumably a trumpet, because obviously the name, but a bullhorn is also considered an instrument that can be played. Also, both of them are clearly based on the Highland bull species of cattle, with the long hair draped over the bodies and everything. Female calfnote then evolves into Mutoon, now a cow with a lyre stick onto its head. It also has wings now, probably referencing the fact that angels are often depicted with lyres, so they're angels kinda, because they have lyres. So now, why musical cattle exactly? Well, because country music, I guess? Next, we have another Rally Ranch Loomian, Epidemic. It's a turkey plague doctor, presumably because plague doctor masks look like turkey beaks. Not much else to say here. I mean, it's a really simple but good design, in my opinion. So yeah, the name. Gobble, an onomatopoeia for the noises turkeys make, and epidemic, just a fancy way of saying disease outbreak. And for our final Loomian line for this video is Pyramid and Ferroglyph. Their inspiration is clear. Pyramids. Pyramid is a weird flowing monument meant to look like a compass needle. Notice the red and blue tips on its pyramids. And it also has hieroglyphs all around its body. These glyphs are actually an alphabet that's used for all things lore in this game. For example, the murals in Judgment Keep, the mural for the Ancient Titans, some other weird tablets that are found in the game. So you could definitely tell from this, and the fact that it looks like a compass, an object made to guide you, and the fact that it roams everywhere after you unlock it at level 30 of Mastery, that it's going to play a big role in the game's big picture lore, whether it be a big legendary pre-evolution, maybe, or maybe just some kind of key or map to something big lore-wise. I don't know, but you can definitely tell that it plays a big role. Hopefully. Anyways, it evolves into Ferroglyph after using an ancient scepter on it, so surely it's it's still pure mind type actually. Damn. It really made sense there, but whatever. Ferroglyph is now a lot more humanoid, very akin to golems of some sort. The Lumopedia even talks about it being a servant of old rulers, which is what golems are, servants that are made from inanimate matter. Also the scepter, its name, the Egyptian pyramid theme. Yeah, these rulers that they are a servant of are pharaohs. So yeah, more lore about them is probably coming with the desert area. Whenever that comes out, of course, in like 3 years. So yeah, that's all the Loomians. Well, for the ones that I covered in this video, that is. This didn't even touch like a third of the entire lineup. Oh, it's gonna be a long series of videos. For me especially because, stuff only gets more complex and deeper from here. No more just straight up rock koalas. But hey, I do this because I love this game and the people behind it. And also, not gonna lie, this was kinda fun doing all this research. Heck, I might even be a geology major now out of how many times I mentioned hydrothermal vents in this video. Of course, if any of the developers or concept artists want to point out how badly wrong I was about the inspirations and origins of certain Loomians that I covered in this video, you are free to do so. But yeah, if you enjoyed it, feel free to like this video or comment something new that you learned about a certain Loomian that you didn't already know. Please, it gives me engagement. And if you want to be notified on when my next video in the series is coming out, either subscribe, turn on notifications, or just follow my Twitter account at RedHeroPlays. That's where I post all my LEGO builds of Loomians and other creature catching games like, Pokemon. Now though, it's kind of filled with Beyblade right now, because I like Beyblades. But yeah, link in the description. Bye bye now!